Hey guys, it's Margarita, and today I want to walk you guys through my 2022 financial goal setting and planning routine. Every single year, right before New Year, I set a new financial goal that I would like to hit in the new year, and I come up with a plan on how I'm going to get there. Now, this is a process that I've always done in private, but I've decided that I would like to make this a public process, and I'll share with you my goal every single year. And in December, I'll do an annual reflection video. So I think you guys will learn a lot from my process and how I go about doing things, which is why I would like to share. But before I go about sharing my 2022 financial goal, I have an announcement to make. So I am the founder and CEO of a new company called Annie Yang Financial Corporation, effective January 1st, 2022. And I'm looking to get new clients. So if you know a family member or a friend or a business associate that owns a small business and they're in need of bookkeeping services, and you refer whoever you know that needs bookkeeping services to my company, Annie Yang Financial Corporation, you will get a $200 Amazon gift card. And this is a non-expiring offer, so this is good for however long I decide it ends, and it's going to be around for a very long time, to be honest. So if you know anybody, you can go to www.annieyangfinancial.com/referrals for instructions on how you can refer that client to me and also get your gift card. Thank you. So on to my 2022 financial goal setting. So I have finally decided what I want to do with my life. I know it seems from watching all my prior videos that it seems like I have my shit together. But to be honest, I think since I was 14, 15, I've always been asking myself, what do I want to do? I have such a hard time committing, but I've decided to commit to a goal, a very big goal now. So I've decided that in 20 to 30 years from now, I want to have hit the goal of building a Fortune 500 multi-billion dollar company. So I don't want to be just a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I know it seems a little outlandish and maybe outrageous and maybe very unlikely, but I don't think anyone becomes a billionaire by accident, right? It requires a lot of long-range planning. So I've decided to make this my goal for 20 to 30 years from now. And in order to hit that, it requires me to set milestones along the way. So, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So the first milestone that I need to hit is I need to make more money on the side from my side hustle than I do from my full-time job. And when I hit that milestone, I'm going to quit my job and work on my side hustle full-time. The second milestone is I want to make $500,000 in annual revenue. The third milestone will be $1 million in annual revenue. Then it's going to be $10 million in annual revenue, $25 million, $50 million, $100 million, on to $200 million, then $500 million, then $750 million, and then I will hit $1 billion in annual revenue. Okay? So how am I going to hit the first one? So right now on my full-time job, I'm making $80,000. So in order to hit this milestone, I actually need to make more than $80,000 because I need to be able to hit a certain revenue, pay out expenses, and then I'm the last one to get paid. So it kind of sucks as a business owner, right? You make a lot of money, but actually when you think about it as a business owner, you're actually the last one to get paid after everyone else gets paid first. So I need to make more money, pay out all these expenses, then I'm able to pay myself a salary of $80,000, and then I can resign from my job. So how do I go about doing that? When you go about setting goals and then you have to create a plan for reaching that goal, it's important to keep in mind where you're starting. So I'm not saying where you start is a huge determining factor, right? Because I truly believe that where you start in life is not a determining factor of where you end up, right? What really matters is the direction you're going and where you actually end up. So, it's not about where you start. I think a lot of people focus too much on where they start. But in terms of where you start, it's important to look at that because that's how you go about creating your plan, right? So where I'm starting now, my side hustle, I make $40,000 on the side right now with about like 10 to maybe 15 hours of work a week. So I think it's doable, you know. The reason why is because I started my side hustle in November 2018. I had just landed my very first client. I started trying to side hustle in September, October, but I actually landed my first official client in November. And this was like a $2,000 client, okay? Like if I had actually had that client, I bill monthly. So if I had that client for like a whole year, it would have been worth $2,000. So I would have considered 2018 to be a $2,000 year, even though I really only had the client for 1 month. And then in the second year, so 2019, I had hit $5,000 in annual revenue. So just a little double the previous year, right? Then in 2020, I hit $10,000 in annual revenue. And I thought to myself, well, year over year, I've just been doubling my revenue from 2,000 to 5,000 to 10,000. So maybe for 2021, it'd be reasonable for me to hit $20,000, right? I honestly, I had set that goal in the beginning of last year, but I wasn't really sure how was I going to be able to go about doing that. I don't know, but clients just somehow landed in my lap. So I ended up not doubling, but instead I quadrupled my annual revenue for my side hustle, right? So, you know, right now I'm starting at $40,000 a year in pretty much guaranteed income because all these clients are recurring clients. They're not like one-off clients. So if I'm able to double my revenue again, I would hit 80,000. But the 80,000 number is not the number that I'm going to be able to quit my job, right? So if I can quadruple my income just like I did last year, so if I can go from making $40,000 on the side to making $160,000 on the side, then I would be able to pay out all my expenses and still be able to pay my taxes to Uncle Sam, and after that, be able to pay myself an $80,000 salary. So, you know, maybe I think it would be reasonable for me, based on where my starting point is, if I make it a goal to hit $160,000 in annual revenue, then I can be able to pay myself that $80,000 salary, if that makes sense. So that's the thing that's important about where you start, just to be reasonable when you create your goal, because you don't want something that's like impossible for you to achieve, but you also don't want something that's like a little too comfortable for yourself. You want something that's just a little beyond your stretch, right? If you go just a little beyond that and you don't hit it, you still do very well. Okay, so that's what's important when it comes to goal setting. And I think what's next that's important in terms of planning is to know like what your blind spots are, and know what kind of obstacles and challenges and what your weak points are in terms of accomplishing your goals. So for me in particular, in terms of achieving this goal, it's that like I'm going to end up being like a business owner, no longer an employee, and that shift is extremely difficult. And the reason why is because as an employee, we get very used to just doing the job that we're assigned. All the tasks are already predetermined for us. You know, somebody else tells us what to do, but as a business owner, there's no one telling you what to do, right? Like you're basically the one calling all the shots. And if you don't know what your next steps should be, you're kind of like operating in the dark, right? So that's the hardest part about owning a business. And another thing is like, so I'm no longer going to be, well, not no longer, but less and less as I progress in growing this business, I'm going to be less in the trenches of actually doing the daily groundwork, the dirty work of the accounting. And more I'm going to be running a business, right? So that's a totally different skill set. Running a business, it involves like basically as a business owner, I'm going to have to be the salesperson and the marketing person for the company, right? It's going to be my job to bring in new clients, new contracts for the company, and then I'm going to have to assign the work to somebody else to handle. But my main job is going to be to bring in more revenue as the owner of the company. And then the second weak point I think that I'm going to come across is that, like I said, like I don't know what my next steps are. Like it's extremely difficult for me to think and plan strategically because like I don't want to just get by. I think a lot of business owners, they kind of just like get by and they kind of maintain their status quo. I actually want to dominate the industry, lead the field. I'm going to lead the industry. I'm going to change how accounting is going to be done. So that kind of like goal is going to require me to be 3 steps ahead, not just 1 step ahead, but 3 steps ahead of my competition. And I'm also going to be like, you know, you guys know I'm only starting with $40,000, right? I don't have that many resources. So that also means that I have to like creatively think about the problems that the industry is facing and then creatively come up with solutions, because that's like the thing that I have as an upper hand compared to companies that have millions and billions of dollars and tons of resources, right? I don't have as many resources, but I do have a brain and I'm going to need to develop that. And I think the third primary obstacle for me is that, so I'm very good at what I do, right? In terms of like doing the actual tasks of accounting, but like as an owner, that changes. I'm going to be managing other people. Like that's a totally different skill set, right? That requires leadership and managerial skills. So I think, you know, right now, I think this year, just those 3 weak points, enough, right? Being able to think strategically, sales and marketing, and then I need to develop my leadership and managerial skills. So identifying your weak points, and then the next step after that is to come up with ways on how you're going to improve those weak points of yours. So for the sales and marketing, there's a marketing podcast that I really love to listen to, but I don't really have much time to listen to. The podcast is called the Marketing Book Podcast by Douglas Burdett. He posts a new episode every single Friday, right? And it's such a great podcast. But the thing is, like, I don't have 1 hour to listen to his podcast, because like I don't want to just listen to his podcast once a week. I actually want to go through all of his episodes, and right now he has a little over 350 episodes, okay? So I've decided that since he posts show notes on his website, I'll put the link here, the show notes link. He posts that to his website, so I'm going to spend every single morning reading 1 show note for a previous episode. And out of that show note, I'm going to take 2 to 3 action points. Well, hopefully 2 to 3, at least 1, okay? So 1 to 3 action points that I can do for my own company in terms of my sales and marketing. So if I do this every single day for 365 days, then hopefully, you know, by the end of 2022, I'll have a list of between 300 and 700 action steps that I can take in terms of my own sales and marketing for my own company. So, but the thing is, so that sounds like a lot, right? 300 to 700. But the thing is, what I've learned is like, sometimes just 20% of a list of actions, if you really, really get good at the execution of just that 20%, it delivers like 80% of the results. So maybe like I only need to like, I don't know, follow 50 different action steps, get really good at 50, right? Or something, to get the kind of results that I'm looking for. So, you know, 1 at a time, but at least if I do this, I will have a better idea of what I don't know, and then I can go about implementing the things that I do know. So that's a plan. And then for strategic planning, so I created a reading list on strategic planning. Strategic thinking and planning. I created this list from the best-selling list for this genre on Amazon, and I can show you in a future video how I came about creating this reading list. But I'm going to read through my reading list, and and after I finish reading every single book, I'm going to go about taking notes in my journal and come up with the main points, 2 to 3 main points from every single book that I read on how I can expand my worldview and the way I thinking about on how I can expand my worldview and the way I go about thinking about the problems that I'm facing in business. So if I can think about it differently from like a different angle, maybe in a deeper level, then I can be 3 steps ahead of my competition. So it requires a lot of reading and case studying. And then the third thing is leadership and management skills. So I actually don't really have a plan for that right now. I'm still thinking about it. I went to a Toastmasters meeting last month, and Toastmasters has like a lot of new programs since I last did Toastmasters. So they scrapped their old program and they have this new program called Pathways for developing your leadership and communication skills. So I might check that out. You know, maybe if I did a pathway specifically for leadership or for management, I can go about doing that, but I don't know. If you guys have any resources that I can check out, that would be great, because I think this last part is really important if I want to hire extremely talented people to help me, and I want to be an extremely good boss to these extremely talented people and create an amazing culture with an anti-bullying policy in place. So it'd be really great if you can help me out by sending me those resources. So yeah, that's my 2022 financial goal setting and planning. Maybe it needs some more adjustments, you know. I think life is like that. Every time I have set a new goal that I wanted to accomplish, I could never see this many steps far ahead, you know. Every time I set a new goal, I was always able to see just only, it's like dark, you know, and the light only shows me 1 to 2 steps in front of me, and then I kind of just need to take that first step or that second step, and then more steps are shown to me. But for now, these are the only steps that are shown to me, so I'm going to take these steps and I'll see where it brings me. But there you go. That's my 2022 financial planning session. So again, guys, if you know anybody, any small business owner that needs a bookkeeping service, please refer me, Annie Yang Financial Corporation, and you will get a $200 Amazon gift card. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.